Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight, returning for I think the third time, fourth time, something like that. I'll look it up soon. Is Jeremy Whitley, one of my favorite writers in comics, and he has like I feel like every time I talk to you, you're doing something just a little bit different. And
That's
this
the
time it's
idea.
actually like a lot bit different.
Yeah, we
We,
try
we,
and
we
mix it
go
up.
from YA to now, I will say that like I think you guys went shock value on the cover of Slay. I think it oversells the bloodiness of the interior. I'm only saying this because there are some people like me that look at it and go, "Well, this is Jeremy Whitley. I need to read this, but that's a lot of blood." And don't get
Yeah,
me wrong, there's plenty of blood. Those of you who looked at it and went, "Awesome." There's a lot of blood. It's just not not quite the slash fest that I was bracing myself for. Um, and frankly, so much cooler than that. So pitch me on Slay, Jeremy.
yeah. So Slay, which is the first of two books in this like flip book we're doing.
Hmm.
This is the first issue of it. So you don't need to have read anything else. This is fresh coming in. It is a sort of a horror western post-apocalyptic story. It's about a girl named Layla who really wants to become a monster slayer. She's learned that her mother was a monster slayer in this world before her and wants to pick up where her mom left off. And is looking for somebody to train her. And the only person that she knows of is sort of this legendary monster slayer, the Scarred Rider. Is very difficult to find. So she's on a quest to find this person. And while she is doing so, she's got to survive somehow. So she decides to impersonate the Scarred Rider and go in and take this bounty on a monster that they've posted for the writer. And she immediately finds herself in way over her head, both with the monster and with Scarred Rider, who shows up and is not the happiest about being impersonated and is probably much more dangerous than any monster she's going to run into.
It's almost like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but identity theft mixed with implying that you have way more skills than you actually have while going after horrendous monsters is not actually a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like fake it till you make it is a bad plan when it comes to like slaying monsters, you know?
I mean, I think it would have been like if it had been fake it till you make it, but without the identity theft, it might have worked. And if there'd
Yeah.
been the identity theft, but somehow not the going after slaying monsters, well, that would have been wrong. Wrong. Just for anybody listening out there, I'm not advocating identity theft. It could have also worked. I think it's the putting them together
Yeah, the
that
combination makes it so much more difficult
really
to pull
kind of
off.
put her in a really rough, rough spot. Um,
Yeah.
can you tell that it's Friday and late? I'm goofy already.
Yeah, so I mean we just wanted to go with like I love Westerns. I don't always love the sort of like there's a certain amount of colonialism and Western expansionism and everything mixed into the traditional Western formula. But I love that sort of like frontier action, like you don't know what's around the next corner, you don't know what's out there. Um, you know, you're sort of on the edge of civilization and no way to nobody's out there to back you up. There's nobody that can take care of you out there. So like that sort of feeling mixed in with this post-apocalyptic thing and these sort of high fantasy monsters, which is one of those things I love. I've always been a a nerdy fantasy kid, but I feel like the more you play Dungeons and Dragons, the more you're just like looking at the hit points and the the special abilities of these monsters, and the less you feel like all right, like if I were to meet a dragon in real life, that's not just like a big lizard. That's like a natural disaster.
You mean Godzilla's not our friend?
Not generally, unless he has the small one with him, Godzuki, and then you're
Okay.
probably all right. But then you have to
I
deal with
mean,
Godzuki, so
I do remember my son when as like a 5-year-old watching the Matthew Godzilla when they're in Madison Square Garden and the Godzilla eggs start
mhm.
hatching and they start killing the little Godzillas and or shooting the eggs. And my son was right up at the screaming at it. You don't kill Godzilla. Godzilla eats you. And when I pointed out that wasn't, he just turned at me and with like the type of eye roll that only a 5-year-old can pull off, said, Dad, it's the circle of life.
Yeah, eventually, I guess the
And
Godzilla
he
goes into
probably
the
hopes that
ocean and
sometime
dies,
before
and
he's
then the
40,
fish eat
he
him.
I stopped telling that story, but I like it. So the girlfriend survives is the flip of this. And I didn't get to see this. I'm assuming that it either wasn't ready or I didn't ask nicely enough or something.
Well, it's still the
Um,
colors are still being finished on it. It's
that's
already drawn.
kind of what I figured.
Yeah.
So give me the pitch on the girlfriend survives.
So the girlfriend survives. Takes this thing that is so common in superhero books that we have a name for it of fridging of the girlfriend in these stories and takes it from a new perspective. So it's about this girl who is name is Delilah. She is a barista. She starts dating what turns out to be the secret identity of their local superhero without knowing has sort of put herself in the crosshairs of his arch nemesis and in this first book is uh, on the edge of being murdered by a supervillain and has to figure out how to survive the experience of being the girlfriend in a story where the girlfriend almost always gets killed.
So, but she's not a clone.
No.
It's not like Gwen Stacy coming back.
No, it's very much uh having to sort of scurry and survive for her life. She has a few surprises of her own up her sleeves.
Okay.
Um but
Is she
yeah,
like one of those immortal characters
no,
from Greg Rucka's Old Guard, where she
no, very
drops off
much
the
mortal.
building and then just stands up again? Because I mean, I thought that the rules were the girlfriend died.
Yeah, she
And
is
it's a superhero comic, so there's got to be some reason.
well, she is doing her
I get
best to survive. So I think the
silliness
reason
is
it'll have to
coming
be
out too
something
early.
that
I'm sorry.
oh no problem. Yeah, I think like that's sort of the trick of it is sort of figuring out how to survive and what to do and what her uh, what her secrets are. Where because everybody has secrets and
Does she consider just losing the boyfriend?
well, yeah, that's another problem. How do you go about breaking up with somebody who is emotionally stunted and has the super ability to I don't know fly you into space or punch a hole through the
Oh,
earth if he
wait a
gets
minute. Are
mad
you
enough?
saying that he might be like an anti-hero and have
No.
trouble?
No, I'm,
I'm asking all of the worst questions, Jeremy. Let's go off on a different, better bent. Yeah, like I am used to turning to Jeremy Whitley for completely wholesome stories, and I have a feeling that there will be some wholesomeness in these stories, just from what I've seen so far. But like completely wholesome YA middle grade stories, and now out of the blue, we've got very rated R horror stories. Like, has this been simmering for a while? What was the inspiration to go off in this different direction?
Oh yeah, I'm a sucker for horror stories in the first place. I have my own podcast called Progressively Horrified where we talk about scary movies and their politics all the time. So I'm always thinking about horror. It's just not always what people are looking for from me. It's been I think harder to sell to people who are excited about what I do generally, which is why, it made sense to sort of start with a crowdfunding campaign to kick these books off and get them out to an audience of people that are excited about them. Um, and that's I always like. I feel like I have a grounding of the types of stories I write, regardless of what audience they're for. With obviously self-sufficient female protagonists and um, certain types of ways of interacting with the audience and the types of characters that I like to tell stories about. Um, but I think I often talk about like when I started writing Princeless. The first thing I did was give my main character a sword, and then I realized that I couldn't have her stab anybody, um, because, you know, you're not supposed to have people being stabbed and murdered by your protagonist, I guess, in a middle grade story. Um, People get a bit
I think
touchy about that.
stabbed is okay if somehow there's a lack of blood or death.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fights in Princeless that end with somebody getting knocked off of something or tripped or disarmed. You have to. It's a real exercise in writing to figure out how to end sword fights without somebody getting stabbed.
Yeah. I mean, that was what made it fun.
Yeah,
That's what Matt Madden would call a constraint.
it's my own little comics code.
I'm going to make a swashbuckling comic that somehow the swords are merely props for
Yeah,
nice dancing.
nice dancing. Occasionally you get to knock somebody over with the sword. Just hitting a lot of people with the flat of the sword or the
Yeah.
hilt of the sword.
Um, so we'll do the quick update. You are at $3,200, shooting for 5,000 and added a wonderful 101 supporters. This is a nice number to see. With 20 days to go. So I feel like you have the right momentum and we'll get there. Among other things, I get ruthless on Blue Sky if I start worrying about not being able to see a book. I start doing math lessons, explaining how, okay, $10 for the digital copy. I have 300 followers.
Yeah, I love that. I have been doing a lot of math on Blue Sky myself because I think we're at a good pace to be able to get there. 1,800 is still a lot of money to make up.
Yeah.
So be greatly appreciated. I mean, if 100 people just got the physical
So
copy right now,
yeah, I will exactly. I will say 100 people getting a physical copy would you'd be there.
mhm.
Um, and seeing as there are two different covers, um, you know, people who aren't smart enough to go for both covers for $33 could just buy both covers and it'd only take 50 of them.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's one of them signed. For a second there, I'm like, wait a minute. We go from 33 for both to 30 for that's 30 for one signed.
Yeah.
34 gets you the flip book and the art print bundle.
And that's covers for both of those. So, I mean, I know I'm a big fan of both of those covers. As you said, the Slay one is pretty vicious, but I think the Girlfriend Survives of our heroine standing atop a pile of defeated and destroyed refrigerators is a pretty
Is
good
fantastic.
look. Yeah.
Is fantastic. And I'm also going to toss out here for the retail. I'm shocked that we have no retailer bundles here, and I might have to talk to a couple retailer friends. And if any retailers are listening, 5 copies for $45, all of them signed. So rather than the $30 for a signed copy, you can have 5 signed copies for $45.
I
I'm
think
just
it's worth
saying.
emphasizing to retailers, especially too, that like this run that we're doing of it as a flip book is just going to be for the campaign, just for Zoop.
Right.
Obviously, both of these stories are stories that we want to do more with, that we want to have go on. But we think it's important with a campaign like this to have something that is an artifact that is specific to the campaign, that you won't just be able to get the same thing 6 months from now.
So also issue two of each of these will likely not be attached to
Uh,
the issue ones.
yeah, at some point, I'm sure we'll see collections of them once we get that far. But yeah, if you're looking for this this special flip book, this issue one of both of these, this is going to be the only place you can get it. So
Right.
limited run.
Well, but I just meant, I mean, I guess maybe you're planning on it, but when it gets to Slay issue two and the Girlfriend Survives issue two, are you doing another flip book or will you be doing just single issues and
Uh,
separating them?
that's going to depend a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
if this campaign does really well and it makes sense to keep doing books like this, then I would be more than happy to do it.
Do it
Gives
as
me a
flip
little bit of
books.
heartburn to do crowdfunding. Uh, it's a little bit
So,
like having
so
a
cutting in
30-day
half
panic
the
attack.
crowdfunding would be I mean,
Yeah.
because actually I was assuming that like this proof of concept would hopefully get them both picked up somewhere, possibly at the same publisher, possibly different publishers. If they're different publishers, they really won't be flip books.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Um,
I would also love that, and that would be, I think certainly you would see different covers if we end up going with
right,
different publishers for
right,
future printings of the issue ones. But yeah, you definitely wouldn't see them together again.
right. So I'm just trying to make out the likelihood that this is a serious collector's item rather than just a little bit of a collector's item.
It depends how serious of a collector you are, right?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, unless you turn it into a TV show, it's probably not the type of collector that will appreciate in value. It'll just be hard to find and get one of your own if you suddenly decide that you want it. One of the things I
Yeah,
do love about good comics is most of the time when I decide that I want them, if I can find them, they're not that expensive. But the rub is if I can find them.
yeah. And then it's the
Whereas
ones that
like
are hard to find that end up going up in value, and then if
but
you do
not
find
I
them, they
mean
get very
again
expensive.
again not always. I'm shocked at
Yeah,
the number of Love and Rockets books that you
mm,
can get for like $2 to $5 if you
yeah.
can find them to begin with.
It's a funny thing, I think, and I know you probably do like I do, where you get attached to a particular format too with
Right.
long running stuff like that. Like I had most of Strangers in Paradise in these old the
That's
old
another
trades.
that's
Um,
another one that you can often find single issues really cheap
yeah.
if you can find them.
Well, I have the old beat up trades. I had them of about half the books, and I was looking to finish it out, and I was like, I don't want these nice, sleek new editions. Like I want the ones that match the beat up looking indie bookstore ones that I have.
Well, talk to me off air.
Well, I've got them now. It
Okay.
took me a little work, but I had to track them down.
Because I know Terry and he often has stuff still in his warehouse.
Oh yeah, I Terry's wonderful. I've had the amazing opportunity to sit next to him at a couple of conventions, which is always so cool because then
Well,
I end up
well,
spending all the money that I make. So
since we're talking cons and Terry Moore, I will do my first on-air plug for myself. And one of the four panels that I got approved for C2E2 um, involves Terry Moore and four other independent comic creators. So
that's awesome.
he's anchoring one of my panels. Um,
That's fantastic. He's great to have on a panel
oh,
too.
he's amazing.
I was on a panel with him in Baltimore a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
it was also incredibly cool because the group of us that were up there, it was such that like various points we were just flipping through each other's books, like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I like what you did here, which is always
Yeah, I
like
deliberately
a
put kind
trip.
of a weird set together with the only thing being they're all independent creators. I've got Terry Moore, I've got Greg Petrie from Santo Sisters, I've got Spike Trotman from Iron Circus Comics, and then I have two young up and comers, Larry Stahl, whose first printed book will be coming out right before C2E2. He's got a story in oh, what is it? The I forget what the publisher is, right? I think Antarctic is doing a Leprechaun like uh St. Patrick's Day horror anthology that he got a story in. And then Daria Ferruhar will make out the rest of mine, and she will one day take over the world. Um, but is at the just finished college, just took her LSATs and makes and sells her own comics on the more DIY side and like super intelligent nonfiction.
Wow.
So the whole idea is to have this panel to say, hey, you thought comics were just superheroes? Look at these five people and the just massively different work that they do.
Yeah, that sounds
So
really cool.
I'm looking forward to it. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it. But done plugging me, back to plugging you. um, Talk to me about your artists, because I only kind of recognize names. I
Yeah,
mean, I
so
recognize your colorist and your letterer. Let me rephrase.
yeah, both both my colorists and letters are folks I've worked with on other stuff. Jamie Noguchi, who is coloring The Girlfriend Survives, is my artist on School for Extraterrestrial Girls. He has very bright, vibrant, fun colors. I wanted to get some of that superhero feel to it. He is working on that one with Luke Nakashoji, who is a Canadian artist. They do a lot of webcomic stuff, but they're really wonderful. If you check out their stuff on Blue Sky and everything, they've got links to their other work. But Luke is really cool, and is doing in addition to like everything that they've already done for the campaign and for the book, also is offering commissions as part of the one of the tiers of the whole thing. So you can get a commission from Luke for $75. Um,
That is what's called a steal.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. He's
when
Luke does
when it
digital
comes to
commissions.
commissions.
They're really cool. The other one that's Jamie is also doing commissions, which you can jump in there for. His are a little bit less restrictive with what he'll do, but they're $150, so he does all kinds of fun stuff. As you can see, he did one of the cast from School for Extraterrestrial Girls dressed as each other. That's on the website as an example of what he'll do. But also, I don't think a lot of people know Alex Smith's work. Alex is my penciler and inker on Slay, and uh, Alex hasn't done a ton of interior work. He did a book for Keen Spot called The D Ward, um, but he has a real like rough, inky style, and with this sort of like Western vibe of Slay, it's got real heavy inks and real like frenetic pacing when it comes to fights and everything. Where you'll see sort of the action gets wild, it gets very bloody and fun to watch. I think that's to me that's one of the keys to making like a good action based comic is just to have art that feels in motion and feels like you can feel this character's terror as they're facing off with this giant monster and see like get a real sense for uh, how difficult this is and how like the real impact between these blows. And Alex's amazing commission work, which I feel like he's done a lot more than he has for interior stuff. But there's a commission he was working on of the Bride of Frankenstein that is on our page, which like is so beautiful. Like if you've got the extra money to put in to support the book, I highly recommend putting that 150 bucks in to get a commission from Alex because you're going to get something absolutely crazy. 'Cause as they say, will put his foot in it. It's going to be a brilliant piece of work to look at.
And there are three left. Two of five have been claimed.
Yes.
Uh, uh, Luke has five digital commissions available. Then
Yeah.
Jamie Noguchi has four commissions available, and you still have two more editorial reviews. Now, what do you do with an editorial review?
So as somebody who's been in comics for 15 years, who's written literally hundreds of comics at this point, uh, it's an opportunity for people who are creators who are maybe just getting started, who want to have somebody sit down and look at their stuff and give them notes before they try to take it to a press or they try to get it out there. Um, I'm very much like a developmental editor on that front, which means I'm not going to give you a lot of notes about commas and things like that. But I will sit down and give you my thoughts about what you're working on, how I think it can improve, questions that I think editors would have that you can address before you get to that point. But mostly, just you get to benefit from my slog of experience of 15 years of doing all of this.
Now, do you have a red pen?
I do around here somewhere. Yeah.
Okay,
Got a red
because
Sharpie even.
my friend Shelley would tell you that that's the essential part. Got to have the red pen. She makes stickers of them now.
Yeah, it's
Um,
they're very useful. I even have I don't know if you know this, but you can make the font on a computer red. So it's
yeah,
like you can have a red pen on the
I
internet.
know.
So,
It's crazy. It's weird because like it's not as much fun.
oh,
I mean,
that all depends. As an editor,
I-
you got to take joy where you can find it, you know.
that's true. That's true. I sometimes write jokes in the margins.
It's the
or,
best place
or
for them.
or have conversations in the middle of the shared Google Doc.
Yeah, I've definitely had a few of those. The shared Google Docs end up with very, very long conversations, some of which are just a series of jokes. But
Right,
um,
right.
yeah, I mean that's a big thing for me. It's not something I do a ton of, but it is something I do very thoroughly. So you'll get, any notes from me, any thoughts that I have, if that is something you're looking to do and you want somebody who is going to be happy to give you notes without you having to worry about whether or not they'll publish your thing. Um, it's always
And
nice
there
to have
is
it.
that nice lack of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything, I mean, at 75 bucks, anything that I tell you that you don't like, you can just tell me to fuck off and do whatever you want. Uh, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, it is 75. I thought you were valuing yourself higher than that. I thought it was 150. I was gonna like give you a hard time for quoting a cut rate price, but as it turns out, it is the real price, not the cut rate price.
Yeah.
We got a couple of cool are from your personal stash, signed Strange Tales #1
Yep.
and a
Both.
Raven Princess Year 2 #1. Is that at New York Comic Con? Yes, it is.
Yep. That was a New York Comic Con variant. It's actually from 2016. It is art by
That
the
cover.
great Sora Sung.
That is a cool
Um,
cover. Okay.
yeah. We did a pretty limited run of these, and I still just had a stack hidden away in my garage here, where all my comic stuff is. Um, and so I know there are still some people out there who are pretty big fans of Raven, even though it hasn't been coming out for a while. And I know there are people who are fans of Sora. There should be a lot more people who are fans of Sora because her work is amazing. But this particular variant was only ever available through the New York Comic Con, and I've got a handful of them left.
Yeah, no, I might have to update my, but I have cars to buy this weekend, so I don't want to update it now. We'll see. I've got 20 days to decide, or until seven more people beat me to it. Um, but speaking of Raven, and I imagine we can't talk much. Are all the rights still in limbo? Is there any chance that we'll see Raven and Princeless return at any point? Because I know that I'm one of the people that misses it.
Yeah, our big hope right now, we do have rights back on that. We've gotten it. I had a long conversation last year with the folks over at the uh, big book website about the fact that there's nobody on the other side of that email address that they're sending stuff to, and that they functionally don't exist anymore. And Amazon agreed with me and took that stuff down. So yeah, it's been a year since there was anything on there at this point. So the rights are very much back in our court, and we are just looking for a good home for it that'll treat both Raven and Princeless the way that they deserve to be treated, and uh, would let us keep finishing out the story that we have going there, and hopefully tell more stuff within that world too.
You have you have my sincere hopes and
Thank you.
a wish that there was a 22 panels comics and I could pitch you on the idea that I'd publish for you, but that would require money that teachers don't make.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with teachers' salaries. My wife's an English teacher for uh 10 years, 12 years, something like
So
that.
you also made the unwise decision to find a sugar mama that was a teacher.
Yes. Yes. And in one of the worst paying teaching states in the country too, in North Carolina. So,
Oh, that's right. Because you know, I was just reading a book about dark money, and North Carolina in particular is a really really sad tale because they almost overnight went from a top 10 in the country education state to a bottom 10 in the country education state just because there were a handful of people that wanted to make that happen
I mean, largely,
for weird
uh,
reasons.
largely our current congressman, Tom Tillis, is responsible for a good
Yep.
chunk of that.
Well, and the people who made him a congressman,
Yeah.
like the particularly, we hear all about woke colleges, and the thing that one of the things that stood out to me in the book, which, if I recall correctly, is actually just called Dark Money. Um, I could look it up, and I might in a second, but a playbook of the uh, various networks of large donors was to cut higher education funding and then come in to save the colleges with their philanthropy that came with requirements that they teach certain things.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Sucks.
wait a minute. And then you turn around and talk about woke colleges.
Yeah. And they cut their legs out from underneath them and then continue to complain about what they do and don't do, even as they're the ones deciding what they do and don't do. So,
particularly in economics. There's so many economic theories that have just like aren't don't really pass the laboratory test, but certainly don't pass the real world tests that are still part of many economics programs. And that's just problematic. But it's also not comics.
Yeah.
So talk to me about we've got these two comics. Do you have anything else on the horizon? Anything you're looking at? Anything you're looking forward to?
Um, so Jamie and I have our third book of School for Extraterrestrial Girls coming out this summer. I believe that should be available in May. If you haven't
Excellent.
checked out the first two, they're a lot of
I
fun.
know I read the first one. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember if I read the second one. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Uh, for anybody who hasn't read it, it's a nice combination of coming of age and science fiction, and if you love a good like boarding school story as well, there's certainly some of that in there. Um, so that's a lot of fun. That's the big thing. The second book of the Dog Knight series has gotten pushed back to the first quarter of 2027, so that'll be out next year. But our hope with that is that it'll give us enough time to get book three done, so that hopefully we'll have 2027 and 2028 new Dog Knight books. And there are
Um,
certainly other things coming up. Uh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's certainly other things coming up, but not ones that I can talk about
Talk
just
about
yet.
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, yeah, you have, I mean, this flip book aside, you have really kind of transitioned to do a lot more graphic novel work than single issue comic work. Is that
Um, I think that is
intentional? Is that where the market has gone? Is it more relaxing or more pressure? Talk to me about the differences.
um hmm. So I think the first stuff I've done in a while that's come out in single issues was the Strange Tales miniseries that I just finished for Marvel,
Right.
which was still a lot of fun. It's still stuff I like doing. Um, I think for me, a lot of the stuff that I find that I find that I can do what I want to in and tell those kind of stories I want to often tends to be in the graphic novel space, whether it be YA or middle grades or adult. Um, I think the direct market publishers tend to be a little bit on the fickle side with trying to figure out what's going to be the next thing, what they expect, and what they expect from me, given sort of I think I'm definitely best known for writing for younger age groups. So sometimes it's hard to sell editors on the idea that the guy who wrote Princeless and 60 issues of My Little Pony could also write an extremely bloody monster story. But that's part of why we're here.
I mean, sometimes you gotta prove it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get typecast and you just have to play Robert De Niro over and over and over again. And it's just, I mean, it can be good because it's a steady job, but
But every once in a while you
creativity's
want to get
fun.
cast as, Frankenstein's monster, right?
Right. I thought De Niro got cast as
He
Frankenstein's
did.
monster.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah, not
actually
a,
seen it. Did he not play De Niro in that?
no. No, the Kenneth Branagh's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. He is a not particularly Robert De Niro-y version of Frankenstein's monster.
It's
He,
it's it's not a Frankenstein with a Bronx accent.
no, although I don't know, I'd pay to watch that.
I think I would too.
Call him Frankie.
Um, I should have so many more questions. Actually, I'll go back to Slay because you definitely work with a trope that you've worked with before because kind of where we get towards is like, oh, yes, I was pretending to be this person, and yes, I ran off to get myself possibly killed, but really my hope was that this person would come save me, and I could say, "Can I be your squire?"
Yeah. I mean,
Um, so I mean, like I hope I didn't spoil too much there, but talk to
no.
me about the two characters and their interactions and um why that's important to you, because I feel like it's not the first time that you've kind of had the mentor-mentee. I mean, sometimes they're closer in age and they're peers, but it often feels like your stories involve someone who, again, is more the mentor than the other. I mean, there's always learning going back and forth, but it kind of feels like, whether it was in Princeless or Raven or why can't I it's my favorite work of yours, and I always forget the name, the Maverick graphic novel that we talked about a while ago.
Oh, navigating with you.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Um, that there's again, there's definitely the give and take where they both learn from each other, but there always seems to be one that's kind of like got things figured out a little bit more in whatever the central conflict is. Does that make sense? Or am I just talking out my ass?
Yeah. I mean, I certainly, I think part of it is I really like the dynamic of one character who's very excited and gung-ho about doing a thing, even if they lack some of the skills of it, and the the other person who's grumpy and just doesn't have time for their nonsense. Um, and that's very much the duality here is you have Layla who is, 19, is sort of been, even in this post-apocalyptic world, has been a little sheltered, has sort of grown up, in a religious community, away from real danger, um, but like has learned this thing about her mom, that her mom used to be a monster hunter, and uh, her mom died when she was very young, so she wants to pick up that mantle and go out and do what her mom was doing and help people. But the sort of reality of being, the scarred writer, of being somebody who does that stuff, is that it's a lot of solitude and a lot of losing people that you care about, and a lot of like being over prepared for bad things to happen. And that is sort of the reality of writer's world, is that she's been out there on the road by herself for a long time and has zero desire to have a mentee or to uh, really get stuck teaching anybody anything. Um, she is in a world where it's kill or be killed, and she she's gonna be a pretty hard one to convince that she should take this annoying kid under her wing.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, in a similar sense, what would you say theme beyond obviously flipping the fridging on its head, but like the character development theme of the girlfriend survives is what's your dynamic there?
I think the girlfriend survives. A lot of it is about fact that nobody is any just one thing. That no character is just somebody's girlfriend. No character is just a superhero. They are people who have a lot of their own issues, problems, secrets, whatever. You know, certainly our main character in that Delilah has a lot of stuff going on, but also um, the world of superheroes is something where there's when we're talking about secret identities, constant lies and hiding the truth, and a lot of deciding uh, who gets to be the people who are in charge and hiding the truth, and who has to be the one who is just suddenly surprised when, a supervillain shows up to murder them. So it's a lot about just sort of I think the social rules and ideas that even go into the concept of getting to a place where things like fridging are a possibility, and sort of the way that our expectations of superheroes and of girlfriends, for that matter, sort of shape what ends up being these people's ultimate fates.
Um, I'm feeling the hour catching up with me, so I'm gonna pivot into closing questions. I now have two of them. So one of
All
them
right.
you've heard before, and the other one will be new for you, unless you've been listening to recent episodes, in which case, thank you. Um, well, and for that matter, that would put you in a short category that includes my brother Adam. I didn't mention him last time. My apologies. Adam and my mom listened to all of the episodes.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Adam. So, um, this is my fifth year of doing this podcast, and I feel like I'm in the twilight zone half the time because like every time I turn around, it's like earlier when you were talking about the specific sizes of Terry Moore comics, and I'm like, oh, I get to moderate a panel with Terry Moore in like a month and a half
Yeah.
because I was able to email Terry Moore and say, hey, you want to be on a panel?
That I think is one of the wildest things that I've learned being in comics is that comic celebrities aren't real celebrities.
Well,
Like,
it's partially that, but it's partially that like it's just a community that is generally open to each other.
yeah, I mean, most of them,
Um,
if you're in if you're in the comics industry, most of them you can email them and they will email you back. A lot
yeah,
of
no,
times their email might be, "I'm very busy right now,"
yeah,
but
no, that
they
does
will get
happen.
back to you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but like surreal experiences like that have become commonplace for me, but that hasn't made them any less surreal. Um, and I find that that's true of almost everybody I talk to in the industry. Along no matter how long they've been in the industry, they have stories where like they just sit back and go, I can't believe that this happened in my life, and it never would have happened if I didn't work in comics. Um, so I've started asking for those stories. Give me a story of just some surreal occurrence in your life, something you got to do, or somebody you met, or some conversation you had that like never in a million years would have happened if you hadn't decided
Yeah,
to be one of the people who took comics way too seriously.
I was actually just talking about this the other day, because I had an experience like that I will never um, I'll never forget because so I got I had met Mark Wade and gotten to know Mark Wade in one of those very like conversations I was talking about where like you can just email people and you can
Right.
get to know them, and he had suggested me to folks that I had been working with at Marvel to work on Unstoppable Wasp, and it wasn't even called that at that point. It was just a Nadia book. And he said, we're gonna introduce her in this free comic book day story, and then I want her to be a main character for these like 2 or 3 issues of Avengers, when he was writing all new, all different Avengers at that point. And he said, would you be interested in co-writing these issues with me? I said, would I be interested in co-writing the flagship Avengers book with Mark Waid? Yes, I think I would be okay with that. Which was big enough to begin with, But then I remember like Mark and I went back and forth over the script a couple of times, and we sent it in to Tom Brevoort, who was the editor in the Avengers office at that point. And I got this email that I was having trouble understanding because it was just like, "Hey, Adam, Jeremy and Mark are copied on this. We wanted to go, here's the first draft of the script. Wanted to see if you had any thoughts or notes or anything." And I was like, "Who the fuck is Adam? Like, is this just somebody that's working at Marvel? Is this another like editor?" And I go up and I pull up the addresses, and it's Adam Kubert who is drawing the book. Um, and I was like, I never thought I'd be writing something for, you know, Adam Kubert or from anybody from the like family that has a literal like
School named
comics
after
art
them?
school named after them. um and so like this, it looks incredible, obviously, that issue of
Right.
Avengers, but that moment of just being like, oh, Adam Kubert's drawing in this book that I wrote maybe too fast. I should go back and like look at this and make sure it's good. Because I definitely felt like it was good, but there's a point where at which you're like, oh
Well,
no,
and
this
see,
is
that's just
serious
funny because when
actually.
he brought up to begin with, right? That's just, it's funny to me because when you brought up Wasp to begin with, I immediately thought of your artist on Wasp who hadn't quite taken over the world yet, but like it was clear that she was about to.
Yeah, so that's funny too to me because I mean Elsa Charretier she's insane. She's very good at what
Yeah,
she does, and she's very, very fast. Which I don't think is something that everybody can really appreciate how fast she is because you're not sort of getting the pages in as they're happening.
right.
Um, and so like that was so cool working with her on that book. And when the book was coming back, um, she wasn't available because she was working on a graphic novel with Fraction at the time. Um,
November.
and yeah, November.
Just a little four-parter
Yeah, which
that
I knew nothing about. I just knew she wasn't available. Um, but it was so interesting because I had had a very similar issue the first time I wrote a book for Marvel. Because my first ever work for Marvel was on an anthology book called Secret War, Secret Love, where I wrote a Danny and Misty story in there. So Iron Fist and Misty Knight, and I turned in that it's like an 8 issue story, and I had no idea who would be drawing it, no idea of when it would be published or anything. And my editor, Alana, who I've worked with on a ton of stuff, she was my editor on Wasp as well, um, just sent me this note that was like, "Hey, I don't know who you had in mind for drawing this, but I just found out that Gurihiru is available. Would that be cool with you? Do you think that would be a good match?" And I was like,
and you said yes,
"Yes,
please.
yes, please. Like, I would love to have Gurihiru work on this." And so when it turned out that Elsa couldn't do the second book of Wasp, I I pressed my luck and I was like, "Hey, so you remember I worked with Gurihiru before? I know that at this point Gwenpool just ended. So they're not doing another book with Marvel right now. Would they be free to jump on Wasp?" And well, I'll check. We'll see. And then, the next thing I knew they were on Wasp and I was working with them again and their stuff is just always so good.
And then Kelly Thompson gave them Jeff, and you'll never hear from them again.
Yeah. Uh, they're so good. They're
They
disgustingly
are.
good.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like you might not have a ton of Marvel work, but you've gotten like the creme de la creme of various artists that
Oh yeah. And I mean Bailey, who is working on Strange Tales with me, Bailey Underwood is
aren't.
really good. Um, she
Yeah,
hasn't done a ton of stuff. She's still fairly new to longer sequential stuff, but she's a rock star.
excellent. Excellent. All right, closing question. It's my favorite question because it makes my reading pile bigger and bigger and bigger. Tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but we don't have rules. Preferably storytelling, but again with the rules. But something that you love that not enough people around you have experienced and you need them to. so that you have more people to talk about it with.
I'm gonna go. So I have read a lot of comics and a lot of manga recently, but they're pretty popular stuff already. What I want to go with is actually a horror movie, because I watch a lot of scary movies for my podcast, and then just generally beyond that. Um, Last year there were several good horror movies that I would rank very highly, like all time. Obviously, Sinners is great. Weapons was great. We just talked about Bring Her Back on the podcast, which is a very good feel bad movie of the year, I would say. Um, but the one that I really loved that not enough people have seen is sort of a German horror movie called The Ugly Stepsister, which is a retelling of Cinderella, basically, from the perspective of the ugly stepsister, who is going through a series of mostly real uh, operations and processes to get less ugly so that she can beat out Cinderella for the prince. And these are all like time specific, so they're horrible things. It is a catalog of horrible things that we've done to women in the name of beauty, um, and is an incredibly painful watch, but a very good and weirdly sometimes funny movie.
And streaming on Hulu.
Oh, is it on Hulu now?
It
I
is.
I saw it on
And
Shudder
AMC
last year, but
Plus.
yeah, I highly recommend it.
And also, just because there's the package, it's weird to look and see the logo that says Disney, Hulu, HBO as you're describing it, because it just so feels like a Disney movie.
Yeah, it is, it is a German version, and
Cinderella.
boy, is it rough. So, I would definitely recommend it. Don't eat it or don't watch it while you're eating, I would say.
Don't
But
watch it while you're eating and probably long before bedtime.
uh yeah. I mean, you'll probably still gonna have nightmares about it, but um it is an incredibly good movie and a weird indie film on top of that, which I'm always for weird indie horror.
I like weird and indie. I don't always like horror, so I don't know if I'm going to wind up being the one that you can talk about this one with, because even watching the trailer here on the IMDb page is making me a little queasy.
Yeah,
Um,
it does not jump out at you shock horror kind of stuff, but it is very much body horror.
yeah. So Jeremy, it is always a pleasure. I love The Slayer. I can't wait to read um, The Girlfriend Survives, and can't wait for your next round of graphic novels because they seem to keep. This is the advantage of being a writer. You can write it and pass it off the artist, and they got to do the long work.
Oh yeah. I've got things now that I've been working on for like 3 and 4 years that still haven't even been announced because they're
Right,
in the art process somewhere. So
right, right. Always a pleasure. And
thank you.
for Jeremy Whitley, this has been 22 Panels, and we will see you after the next page.